The majority of Europe continues under an unseasonably warm weather pattern, but this is soon coming to an end as cold weather looks to be ushered in by a train of storms originating from Greenland and Iceland next week. While this incoming train of storms will be discussed in greater detail in today's forecast, there's a couple of other things that we need to talk about for the remainder of this week, so let's get started. The biggest story for the next few days is this storm right here, which is closing in on Western Europe. Now, before I say anything else, it's important to note that this specific system will not be major by any means, and I'm not really expecting any damaging wind or flooding rain from this storm. Honestly, the most interesting aspect of this system will actually be the bubble of warm air that it's going to pull northward from Africa. Let's switch this over briefly to the temperature anomaly map, which shows us how far off the temperatures are compared to normal. You can see down around northern Africa, Portugal, and Spain are all under these orange shades, which indicate temperatures well above normal. But the interesting part is how far north these warm temperatures are going to get. You can see by Thursday and Friday this massive warmth gets as far north as Germany and Poland, even southern Sweden. And just to put that into perspective, Berlin, Germany will have a high temperature of 17 degrees Celsius on Friday, with other areas like Paris, France, and Warsaw, Poland getting temperatures well above the historical average as well. But now going back to the map we were on earlier, this same system will then proceed towards the east, spreading widespread heavy snowfall from Norway into Finland, even bringing some substantial totals to many areas including Oslo. Then on the heels of that system, another wave of rain and wind will move into Europe, and once again this won't be anything severe, but places like the UK, Ireland, and Scandinavia can expect another wave of moderate precipitation. This is the expected snowfall across Europe for February 14th through the 19th, and as we would expect, it's going to be pretty confined to far eastern and northern areas. But there are a couple places to take note of, one of which is the Nordic countries. Just within the next 5 days, I'm expecting 2 separate rounds of snow, and this will bring a pretty good helping of snowfall for some areas, with those green shades representing widespread accumulations between 15 and 25 centimeters, possibly getting as high as 30 centimeters in the yellow shades. The heaviest totals can be expected in portions of southern Norway, parts of central Finland, and into western Russia. Then the other region I wanted to highlight is the Middle East. We have a pretty significant system going on out there with very heavy precipitation, which of course is switching to snowfall in higher elevations. Now going back to this map once again, we're going to focus in on North America since this will eventually have an effect on us in Europe. Watch as that system that's currently over the interior northwest into the Dakotas moves in a pretty straight line, scooting across the northern states through the 16th. Then the second wave of snow will move slightly further south, bringing a swath of snowfall from the Central Plains into the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic before exiting the country by February 18th. When these systems eventually emerge over the ocean, they're going to follow a similar path right up into Greenland and Iceland. This path that the storms are going to be taking is part of the reason why it's been so mild in Europe, but watch what happens next. This brings us to about February 20th when I mentioned a high-pressure area forming over the Atlantic. This high-pressure area that's going to be developing around this time is actually going to be one of the biggest factors in the changing storm track, since it's going to basically form a northwest flow right down into Europe. This is because it will allow for all that low pressure and cold air which is currently around Iceland and Greenland to start dropping towards the southeast. So in conclusion of this video, this is what you should keep in mind. Expect the current pattern to persist until about February 20th with mainly just some weaker storm systems and therefore only minor and brief shifts in temperature. Then once we pass the 20th, I'm expecting the overall storm track to change, which will start bringing in colder air. That brings us to the last point, which is to stay tuned for further updates. Lots of details still need to be finalized over the course of the next few days, so if you would like to see the latest and greatest information as it does become available, I definitely recommend subscribing to this channel with the notification bell on. Thanks everyone for tuning in today, and I'll see you on the next one.